This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 121. Happy, Smart, and Useful by Derek Sivers of Sivers.org, and a reminder from the Mexican Fisherman by M.O.N.E.Y of budgetsaresexy.com.
Get ready to maximize your potential with Optimal Living Daily, the podcast that brings you the best in personal development and productivity every day of the week. Your optimal life awaits. Now here's your host, Justin M.O.N.E.Y.
What's going on, oldies? Welcome to OLD, or OLD, which stands for Optimal Living Daily. I'm your host and personal reading assistant, Justin M.O.N.E.Y, and it's another edition of Sivers Sunday. But I have a special little twist on it because I'll be reading a short post from M.O.N.E.Y of budgetsaresexy.com as a little bonus, and you'll see why in just a bit. First, if you want to hear from me personally every once in a while, hear what's going on in my life, plus some life tips and a bunch of free stuff, and show me that you enjoy this free service I'm providing for you, please join my weekly newsletter. It's super easy. Just text the word optimal to the number 44222. Or if you want to do it through the web, you can visit me online at oldpodcast.com and join there for free. So back to Sivers Sunday and this bonus post from M.O.N.E.Y. A little while ago, Jay emailed me and actually recommended that I read this parable on the show. And I told him that I do indeed love that parable, but it's a little short, so I'd have to find another post of his to read along with it. And by chance, Derek Sivers references this exact same parable of the Mexican fisherman in his post. So I thought, perfect, I'll read these together instead of two kind of unrelated posts. So that's the story behind this, and I hope you enjoy both. So now, let's start optimizing your life. Happy, Smart, and Useful by Derek Sivers of Sivers.org. There are three things to consider when making life decisions: what makes you happy, what's smart, long-term good for you, and what's useful to others. We have a tendency to forget one of these. For example, smart and useful, not happy. This is the stereotype of the strict parent that says, quote, "You will go to the best school, get perfect grades, get a degree in law or medicine, and make lots of money. What you want does not matter. This is what's best for you and your family," unquote. Smart and useful isn't bad. It's rational like a machine, but happiness is the oil. Without it, the friction kills the engine. Happy and smart, not useful. This is the stereotype of the, quote, lifestyle design or self-help addict. Always learning, always improving, and obsessively focused on how to be happy and create the perfect life. They look for, quote, passive income instead of focusing on doing something that's really valuable to others. Happy and smart isn't bad. The self-focus feels great at first, but you can't actually pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Ultimately, you must be lifted by those around you. Happy and useful, not smart. This is the stereotype of the charity volunteers. After getting expensive university degrees, they spend years flying full-time to exotic, impoverished places to dig wells and thatch roofs. But if a graduate's time could be worth $200 per hour, yet they're doing work that locals could do better for $10 per hour, and without airfare and hotels, then they're actually doing a disservice to others. Read Efficient Charity Do Unto Others and The Reductive Seduction of Other People's Problems for more thoughts on that. In the same category are people who stay at the same job for life without improvement, and the musicians who always perform at the local venue but never make a good recording. Happy and useful isn't bad. They're doing good for the world, so it's hard to find fault, but they've got great intentions but lame strategies, wasted effort, and unused potential. Just happy, not smart or useful. This is the parable of the Mexican fisherman. Quote, "Just be happy, that's all that matters," unquote. It sounds so simple. It must be profoundly true, right? But like Aesop's fable of the ant and the grasshopper, you'll be full of regret if you think of nothing but today and don't prepare for tough times. And you'll be all kinds of unrewarded if you only serve yourself, not others. So, I sound critical, but I'm writing this to myself as a reminder. When a life or plan feels ultimately unsatisfying, I find it's because I've forgotten to include what makes me happy, what's smart, long-term good for me, what's useful to others. A reminder from the Mexican Fisherman by M.O.N.E.Y of budgetsaresexy.com. Hope you had a wonderful Easter, guys. I've been thinking a lot about life and family and career lately, specifically how all our hustling and money intertwines with it all, and was reminded of that parable of the Mexican fisherman. You've probably heard it before, but always a message well worth repeating. The Mexican fisherman. An American businessman was standing at the pier of a small coastal Mexican village when a small boat with just one fisherman docked. Inside the small boat were several large yellowfin tuna. The American complimented the Mexican on the quality of his fish. "How long did it take you to catch them?" the American asked. "Only a little while," the Mexican replied. "Why don't you stay out longer and catch more fish?" the American then asked. "Well, I have enough to support my family's immediate needs," the Mexican said. "But," the American then asked, "what do you do with the rest of your time?" The Mexican fisherman said, "I sleep late, fish a little, play with my children, take a siesta with my wife, Maria, stroll into the village each evening where I sip wine and play guitar with my amigos. I have a full and busy life, senor." The American scoffed, "I am a Harvard MBA and could help you. You should spend more time fishing, and with the proceeds, you buy a bigger boat. And with the proceeds from the bigger boat, you could buy several boats. Eventually, you would have a fleet of fishing boats. Instead of selling your catch to a middleman, you would sell directly to the consumers, eventually opening your own can factory. You would control the product, processing, and distribution. You would need to leave this small coasting village and move to Mexico City, then LA, and eventually New York City, where you'll run your expanding enterprise." The Mexican fisherman asked, "But senor, how long will all this take?" To which the American replied, 15, 20 years. "But what then, senor?" The American laughed and said, "That's the best part. When the time is right, you would announce an IPO and sell your company stock to the public and become very rich. You'd make millions." "Millions, senor? Then what?" The American said slowly, "Then you would retire, move to a small coastal fishing village where you'd sleep late, fish a little, play with your kids, take a siesta with your wife, and stroll to the village in the evenings where you could sip wine and play your guitar with your amigos." Unquote. It gets better every time I read it. A bit oversimplified perhaps, but the message is loud and clear. Remember what it is you're working so hard for, and have the wisdom to realize when enough is enough. We can't all be Mexican fishermen right now, but the life might be a lot closer than we think. Have a great start to the week, everyone. You just listened to the post titled "Happy, Smart, and Useful" by Derek Sivers of Sivers.org and A Reminder for the Mexican Fisherman by M.O.N.E.Y of budgetsaresexy.com. So hopefully now it all makes sense why I put these two posts together. Derek referenced the parable and then M.O.N.E.Y happened to write about it recently, so it was perfect. And if you enjoyed this episode or any of the episodes in general, the one big thing, although it's not really that big, that I'm asking you to do to help support the show is to simply join my weekly newsletter. The great thing is that it's more than a newsletter. You get gifts from me immediately and enter to win books every month. So to join, you can visit me online at oldpodcast.com, or if you'd like to text in, you can text the word optimal to 44222 and you'll be in. It's that easy, and it's a really nice way to show your support for both this podcast and also Optimal Finance Daily. And that's it for Sivers Sunday. I'll be back with Minimalist Monday tomorrow, so I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.